Well, my next guest recently turned 19. He's a fourth generation Rando involved in harness racing. It was my pleasure to catch up with Lucas Rando. Well, Lucas, first of all, belated birthday wishes.
Thank you.
What's it like turning 19? My memory doesn't go back that far anymore.
It's not a great deal different to being 18. Probably a little bit more responsibility because I can't get away with being 18 anymore.
Well, Lucas, as I mentioned, fourth generation Rando to be involved in harness racing. Of course, the Rando family always very proud of their history in the sport, and you're on the other side of the fence. Your dad's James, brother of Joe.
Yeah, that's right. My great-grandfather, Giacomo Jim, when he came over from Italy, this is what he sort of did to pass the time outside of work. He worked horses, and then my grandfather Steve caught it from him, and then he gave it to Joe, and now Jimmy, and now me. Yeah.
Lucas, you're making me feel even older because I used to remember doing many an interview with your grandfather Steve at Harold Park for Sky Channel.
Yeah, he had a lot of success in the early 80s and early 90s as well. He had a sponsorship with Mitavite and was fortunate to get a lot of decent horses through them, like Bold Sun. It was a good time for the family.
He used to race in the all-lemon colours, now that you bring that up.
That's right, exactly right. He said he was the first person to race in sponsored colours. I don't know if it's true, but we always went with it.
Yeah, I think he's telling you the truth on this occasion.
Oh, there you go.
Well, Lucas, your involvement in harness racing has only been going for a couple of years.
Yeah. I sort of didn't go down the mini trots route because I always had inhibitions to sort of pursue other pathways with horses, but ultimately I caught the bug when I was about 16 and I just had to do it from then on.
And also, apart from being involved in harness racing, Dad runs a very successful business.
Yep. He's a professional cornice plasterer, so he does mainly intricate work, but he's always made a living through that, which has given him the ability to do the horses without the financial pressure associated with it.
Also, Lucas, you went down another path for a short period as far as turning over to the other side of the industry to be a jockey.
Yeah. I've always had just as big a passion for harness racing as I have thoroughbred racing, but I sort of didn't have the proper figure to be a jockey. One day I showed up at Hawkesbury and there was a trainer there. I walked up to him and said, can I be a jockey? He didn't even look at me. He just looked at my feet and went, no, you're too big. So it was a bit difficult to go down that path.
Yeah, it's Australian too. We might just explain to people that may not be aware of that fact. That's one of the first things a galloping trainer will look at when he's looking for a jockey is the size of their feet, because they know whether you're going to be tall.
Exactly right.
And your involvement over those 2 years, you've driven two winners. Your first was back in August 2019 at Bathurst. Times are changing, and the good thing about it was for your dad.
Yeah. It was a very special night, that one. We went up there with expectations to sort of come home with a result, and it was very nice to see it come to fruition.
Also had some success with Southbound Trade and ran a very nice race in the second here today, finishing third behind Ready to Bloom.
Yeah, he was much improved performance today. He's probably been a little bit disappointing. We actually had quite lofty ambitions with him when he come from New Zealand, but it hasn't panned out the way we intended it for it to, but he's coming good now, so just got to be patient.
You think he's one to follow, particularly when he turns up at Penrith?
Honestly, I probably think he's a little bit better on the bigger track here. He's probably suited to the longer straight. He's a horse that tends to sort of keep building speed, and that Penrith, they slow down and sprint real fast and sort of drops him. But yeah.
Now, Lucas, apart from your wonderful family involvement in harness racing, you're also now associated with another great family in harness racing, the Fitzpatricks.
Yeah, I've been working for Paul Fitzpatrick for 10 months. It truly is an honour to work along such a esteemed company. To work alongside two people that are just absolute all-time greats, and Paul and Gavin, is something that I can't tell them how appreciative I am.
Apart from the wonderful family involvement and now with the Fitzpatrick, other influences in your career?
Yeah, I've been very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of positive influences through my career to this point. Trevor Munday and Michael Muscat, I wouldn't be where I am now without them. I'd have stayed in school and probably done something else. They really gave me the knowledge to sort of pursue a career down this path, but I've always admired people like Amanda Turnbull and Blake Fitzpatrick, the way they've conducted themselves both on and off the track. And even in more recent times, people like Cameron Hart and Josh Gallagher, the way they drive and the way they are off the tracks, it's very fortunate to be around them to see the way they conduct themselves.
Now, Lucas, is harness racing going to be your career path?
I'd love it to, but ultimately I think you have to be somewhat realistic, and I think there's probably limited opportunities given the way I've performed so far throughout my career. I'm committed for the entire time I have my concession claim, so for at least the next 3 years this will be my primary focus. But after that, if it doesn't work out, I'd like to go down the media path.
Yeah, explain that a bit more. The backup plan sounds very reasonable indeed.
Yeah, professional form analysis for both harness racing and thoroughbred racing is where I'd like to go. I've actually built a little bit of a following online recently. I've been sharing my tips pretty much every day for nearly a year now, but I've always sort of committed all my time outside of this sport to studying the form. Like, that's how I learned to read. My parents will tell you I learned to read by reading a form guide, so it feels fitting that if this doesn't work out, that's the path to go down.
You're not the first to learn to enhance the education by reading a form guide.
Yeah, I can't tell you my teachers weren't too fond of it. They weren't keen on the 6-year-old sitting there reading tab form while the others were reading kids' books, but yeah.
I had a science teacher going back to my high school that was very keen on just doing nothing else but sitting in the back of the classroom with me looking at the form.
I don't blame him. My high school teachers were a bit more welcoming. They were pretty fond of the idea that I could tip them a winner here and there, so yeah.
Now, Lucas, there's also, I've got to commend you for this part of the interview concerning becoming a steward, and you looked long and hard into that aspect, but there was another side that said, no, I can't go down that path.
Yeah, I truly did consider the opportunity to pursue a path down that avenue, but realistically, the majority of my close friends and people I hold dearest to me are directly involved in this industry, and it didn't feel right to cut them off to enhance my career, not really be able to contact them in the way that I'd like to.
Now, Lucas, I'm going to put your form knowledge to the test. The final race here at Club Menangle on Saturday night, True Confessions goes around for Paul Fitzpatrick. Well, I thought his form over the past few runs has been very good, and this is a suitable race.
Yeah, it's a very suitable race when you look at it. It's quite an even contest on paper. It's drawn ideally in Barry too, and there does look to be good at speed engaged, and he's a horse that thrives off the fast tempo. He's been flying. I've driven him his past 2-3 starts, and he's not been dealt with a great deal of luck, and he's been absolutely savaging the line. So from the draw, I wouldn't be surprised if he run a good race.
It gives me plenty of confidence, Lucas, because I also thought he was going to be very hard to beat in the last event. Now, to wrap up this interview, apart from everything else, a young man, you love your fashion.
I do. I love me clothes. I like to think I'm one of the more well-dressed people in the industry. So, my brother actually is a professional fashion designer. He's just had a gallery put up somewhere in the city. I didn't actually get to go see it, but yeah, so it's a bit of a family thing, that one.
Well, now that you mentioned that, Lucas, I now know where you get that wonderful fashion sense with the suits and also you look pretty good in the hat.
Yeah, I like to rock the fedora when I can, yeah.
Well, it's great to catch up with you and good luck with all those different avenues at the moment awaiting you.
Thank you.